This is ANAplus, powered by the African News Agency. You're watching Newsbite, where we give you everything you need to know about Africa now. We're checking out islands off the coast of Africa, and today we land on Madagascar, just off the East African coast. It's only about 400 kilometers away. Now, you'll notice that the coastlines of Madagascar's western shores look like a perfect match for the little dips and edges and notches of Africa's eastern shores. And that's because this is where Africa split off from Gondwana about 165 million years ago. Now, Madagascar must have felt lonely and wanted to head back over to Africa because 77 million years later, around 88 million years ago, Madagascar broke off from the Indian subcontinent and drifted down to the coast of Africa. It wasn't always called Madagascar as well. In the Malagasy language, it was known as Madagasikara, but the name Madagascar was popularized by Europeans in the Middle Ages. Now, owing to Madagascar's unique prehistory, Africa breaking off from the Gondwana supercontinent and Madagascar itself later breaking off from the subcontinent, life evolved there in relative isolation, meaning the island is a biodiversity hotspot. 90% of its wildlife is found nowhere else on Earth. How can this be, I hear you ask? Well, Madagascar is the second largest island nation on Earth and the fourth largest island in the world. There's evidence to support human foraging as early as 10,000 years ago, with human settlement believed to have taken place between 350 BC and 550 AD by Indianized Austronesian peoples arriving on outrigger canoes from Indonesia. Now, the dominant socio-religious cultures were Hinduism and Buddhism, along with native Indonesian cultures. Now, these peoples were joined around the 9th century AD by Bantu migrants crossing over the Mozambique Channel from East Africa. Other groups continued to settle on Madagascar over time, each one making lasting contributions to Malagasy cultural life. The Malagasy ethnic group is often divided into 18 or more subgroups, of which the largest are the Merina of the Central Islands. Pay attention, that'll be important in just a bit. Until the late 18th century, the island of Madagascar was ruled by fragmented assortments of shifting socio-political alliances. Beginning in the early 19th century, most of the island was united and ruled as the Kingdom of Madagascar by a series of Merina nobles. The monarchy ended in 1897 when the island was absorbed into the French colonial empire, from which the island gained independence only in 1960. The autonomous state of Madagascar has since undergone 4 major constitutional periods termed republics. We'll get to that later. Since 1992, the nation has been officially governed as a constitutional democracy from its capital at Antananarivo. Now, resulting from its history, the island's official languages are Malagasy and French. In the island's history are tales of pirate colonies preying on European trade ships. Between the 16th and 18th centuries, pirate activity in the coastal areas of Madagascar was common. The purported free pirate colony of Libertatia was established on Île Sainte-Marie, originally populated by local Malagasy. Now, the Sakalava and Merina kingdoms in particular exploited European trade to strengthen the power of their own kingdoms, trading Malagasy slaves in exchange for European firearms and other goods. Now, a certain type of slave labor was also introduced under French rule, where unpaid bonded labor was expected to be fulfilled by islanders in French plantations and other industries for a certain number of days each year, a sort of national duty that I'm sure no one felt any affinity for. This led to brewing hatred, and eventually, after much political wrangling and the constant battle for independence and freedom, the Malagasy uprising took place between 1947 and 1948. The rebellion was unsuccessful, and the atrocities committed by the French during this time deeply scarred the nation. Madagascar was eventually granted independence in 1960 during French decolonization. Now, the recent political history of Madagascar involves 4 republics. The first from 1960 to 1972, the second from 1972 to 91, the third from 1991 to 2010. Now, this was followed and kind of interspersed by a period of political instability following a popular uprising, leading to the High Transitional Authority period from 2009 to 2014. The Fourth Republic is still active since 2014. Just over half of Madagascar's population supports traditional beliefs, while around 41% of Malagasy are Christian. You'll no doubt know one of Madagascar's most famous inhabitants, the ring-tailed lemur, also known as King Julian from the Madagascar movie series, which is one of more than 100 known species and subspecies of lemur found only on the island. Its biodiversity, however, is severely under threat from human activity. Since settlement, the island has lost around 90% of its original forests. Human activity has also led to the extinction of the island's endemic elephant bird in the 17th century and several species of giant lemur due to hunting for food. Now, one of the island's former presidents tried to put in place laws to have at least 10% of the land area of Madagascar protected. This would have tripled the area under protection at the time. Despite this, a number of lemur species remain critically endangered, and flora, like certain species of rosewood trees, are still being exploited for wood for luxury furniture production. As a holiday destination, Madagascar is wonderful. Obviously, you should proceed with caution in the capital, Antananarivo, as you would in any other capital. But once you've reached the more rural areas, it's very safe, with a tropical climate featuring everything you'd want from an island destination. The tourism trade is slightly underdeveloped, although the potential for growth is huge. Now, don't forget to let us know in the comments what you think of our tour of the islands off the coast of Africa. And don't forget to click the subscribe button so you can be notified about when our next episode drops. Also, let us know which islands you'd like us to explore next. This is Newsbite on ANAplus. We make Africa matter.